Not a damn chance. Not a damn chance.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Thank
How are
you
you
for being
guys?
here.
Yeah, Redban.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's only been a couple days since we saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea here, want to kind of have a conversation about just sort of like, I mean, I think most of the world knows you, and most of the world knows you as, you know, like the dude who's sort of behind and started and responsible for and associated with like podcasts are the biggest thing in the world right now, right? That's probably, I mean, I'm just assuming, but it's got to make up a decent chunk of the economy, right? I mean, podcasts are huge. They generate revenue. And you've been doing it since before, like, that was even a thing. Well, a long time before it was like a thing. And so, love to just sort of get into your story. How did you get involved with it? Like, what was the beginning?
So when Joe Rogan hired me, I was pretty much just hired to make a bunch of videos for him, and we would go on the road, and I would film hours and hours. And this is when it was like on those little tapes, also the mini DV tapes and stuff. So I would come home every weekend from being on the road with Joe with maybe 30 tapes. And then I had to transfer all those tapes to the computer. And then I had tons of footage, like hours and hours of footage. And Joe's like, yeah, just make some fun videos with that. And I'm like, what? It's just dude like walking around and at airports and stuff. So it took a long time to like take everything, try to make a story about something. And it would just so much work. And when live streaming started, this is before YouTube wasn't doing live streaming at the time. And there was like a few companies. One was called Justin TV, which is now Twitch. And there was Ustream, which is nothing now. And I was like, man, I wish there was a way that Joe can like interact with the audience. We could give him stuff, but I didn't have to sit there and go through all these tapes and edit it. Stuff. So I was constantly trying to get Joe into doing these live streams. So during like comedy shows, I would bring my laptop and open it up and just like hit record and go, hey guys, yeah, Joe, come talk to the fans and everything. And Joey Diaz hated technology, so he would come in and like, don't film me, and all that shit. But it got really popular, and then Joe was like, we should just start doing live streaming from my house. And so we just started going to his house and just doing live streaming.
So the original podcasts were all live streams?
The original podcast wasn't even a podcast. It was just us live streaming, like talking to the Joe talking to the fans, Q&A and stuff like that, and just hanging out.
Did you were you already like doing this kind of stuff before when Joe came up to you and asked you, or
for
live
streaming? This is like when it first came out, like, so it was just like, whoa, no one's what is this?
But obviously like video production and
video production and everything. I was doing video editing and all that stuff.
Okay.
But not like the live streaming thing. This was just all new to us and new to everybody. And then we did it a few times at Joe's house, and people were like, you should just take the audio of that so I could listen to it at work and put it in. And I was like, I'll make it a podcast. So we just took the audio of these live streams, which was shitty. Like we weren't using these mics. These mics and stuff didn't exist. And so I started throwing it up on iTunes, and immediately it was like, whoa, dude, this is like number 3. We just released it. It's number 3 of all podcasts. I mean, there wasn't that many podcasts. There was like a couple tech nerds and stuff. But and then every week we're just like another 100,000 people, another 100,000.
Wow.
And then it got to the point where Joe was like, let's go to the electronics stores, Fry's, and let's upgrade our microphones. Let's upgrade the webcams we're using. And every week we would try to fix and fine tune something. And then after like 15 episodes, we were like, maybe we should get like a sound mixer and like good microphones instead of these like dumb Bluetooth or like these dumb USB microphones.
Yeah.
And that's just how it went. Like every week we would upgrade something. And that's why like the first 50 episodes, just the quality of it was so shit because we were, we were
Figuring it out.
Figuring it out,
Yeah,
pretty much.
trial by fire.
Right. And I didn't know. I didn't go to school for audio engineering or anything like that. It was pretty much, I never used a mixer before. So I just had to sit there and like, what's this button do? What's this button do? And like learn everything.
There was no YouTube
Crazy.
tutorials.
No YouTube.
That's I like how grassroots and how DIY that was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I mean, now it's so nice because so many people are podcasting and there's all these companies that are making cool, mic stands and shit like that. And there's like cool cameras now. Like we were just using shitty webcams and,
Just from the computer.
Yeah.
It's all crusty.
Yeah. It was horrible. We had like 3 webcams hooked up to one computer too. Because there wasn't video mixers that, for people just to buy. That wasn't really a thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so that's pretty. I didn't know all that. So I mean, I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this, but like when I first met Joe, I didn't even know he had a podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he was. I knew him as the dude from Fear Factor, and so it's been so interesting for me to I've never listened to a podcast, and now, 4.5 years later, here we are, starting a podcast and sitting down with. I don't know if I think there was somebody before you who had a podcast before you guys, right? But essentially, you guys were like, you blew the whole fucking thing up.
There was podcasts whenever the what's that? Not the iPod? Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
when the
the
iPod
little
came
one.
out, I think that's when podcasting came on. But
Yeah.
it was mostly just tech guys. There was a few people like I don't know if Mark Maron. I think Mark Maron was doing it maybe. But there was that guy from MTV. I can't. His name escapes me and stuff. But there was like a few random people.
Yeah.
But it was mostly tech guys.
But you guys were the ones who like blew it up, right?
Yeah, we pretty much were the first to. I mean, Rogan, just who he was, the Fear Factor guy, kind of introduced it to the normal people. Like when we started doing it, that's when. I'm ready to listen to my first podcast, and that's when. Not many comedians even knew what podcasting were, and so we definitely introduced that to the comedians. And you could say that podcasting was like down here, and now it's like up here. And we definitely were responsible for that big boom, I think. Or Joe, just Joe's show. It's one of the biggest ones ever.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
so
so awesome.
So so you start by just being a filmer on the road, right? Making videos. And then you talk them into live streaming. You guys start live streaming. You start upgrading. Like, what's fill me in between the garage band days and and now where you are with Kill Tony and like how do you like what is that path?
Well, when the podcast started becoming really popular, then the first 100 or so episodes, it was just in Joe's office. There was times where we were talking. I remember one in particular because it was Kevin Smith. And it was the day after I got mugged, with a gun and
Day
everything.
after you got robbed?
Yeah, I got mugged
Wow.
and everything.
Wow.
In LA?
In LA. Like gun to the chest, get in your car, execution style.
Wow. No way.
My girlfriend was drunk and not listening to the guy. And I thought he was just going to shoot me and shit like that. It was
Shit.
I mean, I had PTSD for a long time after that. But
Yeah, that sounds
the day
gnarly.
after, it was like Kevin Smith. And that's the only reason I remember this. But I remember there was a part where we didn't talk about it during the podcast, but then halfway through, Joe had to take a shit. So he literally goes, "I'm gonna take a shit," and the bathroom was right here. You could hear him like pissing and shit on the podcast. And Kevin's just sitting there like, "Hey, what's up, Brian?" And I go, "Man, I got robbed last." And so that's when I told him about it. But it went from that environment to like Joe finally is like, I don't want people coming to my house anymore. We used to do it at my house a couple times. And then Joe finally like, got a studio, like a proper studio. And then I started a podcast network called Death Squad because the show was doing so good, and all our friends like Tom Segura and Ari Shaffir and stuff. I was like, man, you guys should do podcasts I mean, Joe doesn't have to do radio anymore. You know, when he's on the road doing shows, usually you have to go to a radio station the day before and like advertise. I'm at the Funny
Promote,
Bone.
yeah.
Promote. It's like you don't have to do that anymore. This podcast is doing all the promotion and it's free and so I decided to start a podcast network so I could help all my friends out. So
That's so dope.
I started one for Ari Shaffir, which was the Skeptic Tank. Tom Segura did Your Mom's House, and did just Brody Stevens, Little Esther, Sam Tripoli, Brian Callen. I just started making. I was doing at one point 11 podcasts by myself. I didn't have employees. I didn't have any employees. I did all the editing. I did.
Wow.
I would sit
And
there.
before the AI would, auto correct and all that kind of.
Oh yeah. This was before. I would actually sit there and like if we were doing a podcast and I had one hand over here on my video switcher, like camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4,
Wow.
while talking. And I was just so used to like, all right, so this is you talking. So if you start talking, I know to hit this button. I wasn't even like, I was just doing it all.
Wow.
Like,
Insane, dude.
It was crazy. And then
That's how your timing is so good now, right?
yeah, well, I guess. But so I started the studio at my house. So like if you look at Your Mom's House episode number 1, they're in my living room sitting on my couch, my dirty ass fucking couch. And there's cats in the background like walking around. But and I did that for like a year. We filmed some JREs there. But I remember we had Andy Dick once, and I think it was a JRE. And Andy Dick, like every 15 minutes, would excuse himself and go to the bathroom. I think he was doing something. You know?
He had a lot of Mexican food.
Yeah, yes, that's it. And after that, I was like, man, now I feel what Joe was feeling. I don't want people at my house anymore.
Felt a little.
Yeah, so I opened up my own studio at the Ice House in Pasadena. It's a comedy club. And that's where I started doing all my podcasts there. And then I was doing JRE. And then, I'd leave JRE, go home, edit JRE, put it up, and then I would go to the studio, record like 3 podcasts, go home, edit, put it up.
Holy hell.
And I was paying for it all myself. We didn't have any sponsors at all. Back then, there was no sponsors. I was literally taking my paycheck from Joe, spending it on Death Squad Studios and pretty much funding all this podcast for free.
Yeah.
And
Wild.
editing it all and because I didn't have a staff or anything, it was just pretty much the rent and then buying new cameras and gear once in a while. And I did that for maybe 8 years,
Wow.
9 years.
Wow.
What was driving you to do all that? You know what I mean?
Really, it started off just wanting to help everybody. I helped my friends because I knew how to do it. And
that's
no one
fucking
knew how
awesome.
to do podcasting, maybe a couple people, but like I just wanted to help them. And then it became kind of fun because it was like a lot of these podcasts, getting to meet all the people that were guests and stuff, that would come to my studio. And I also connected, because it was at the Ice House, I started doing comedy shows. And so a lot of the podcasts were like, hey, come over, let's do a podcast. And afterwards, let's do some stand-up comedy. It was all in the same building.
So that's how you got into stand. Were you a stand up before?
Yeah,
or-
I was a stand-up in Ohio. I started before Joe even hired me.
Okay.
And I did it a few times, and then I quit for about a couple of years, and then Joe got me back into it one day. He's just like, Brian, when's the last time you did stand-up? I'm like, 3 years ago. And he goes, do you have any of your jokes still? And I'm like, yeah, I have in my phone. He's like, well, I want you to open up the show. And
He's like, good, you're on in 10.
Yeah,
That's some Joe shit to do.
Then he started doing that all the time. He would make me follow Joey Diaz, like put me in the middle, which is crazy. And I did that for a long time. I was just on the road opening for Joe and filming Joe and doing that on the side. But yeah, then after a while, I was so burnt out from doing all these podcasts. I mean, I was doing so many podcasts. I did 8 Slept podcasts,
But that's how you build something.
right.
You can't do it part time.
right. But I should have hired people though. Like that was my mistake. But there was no money. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Because you just kept throwing it right back in.
Yeah, I
Because
was
there
just-
wasn't a market.
there
for
wasn't
it
a
yet.
market. There
Yeah.
wasn't even YouTube. Like you couldn't have any video over like 15 minutes on YouTube for a while. Like the long video format, that's actually came way later in YouTube. And then once that came out, they didn't have like AdSense or any of that yet put together. So it would literally, I couldn't get employees. If I had all that income during that time, oh God, it would be a different fucking story. But so I decided to cut back on all my podcasts, and that's when I started Kill Tony with Tony. I was like, you know what? I just want to focus my energy on 1 or 2 podcasts, and so I dropped all my podcasts except Kill Tony. And I think I did like 2 others, but they were my podcasts.
So when you decided to do that, you and Tony had already started Kill Tony?
No. So I was at this weird time where I was already thinking like I want to stop doing all these podcasts, and I was doing a podcast at the Comedy Store called The Secret Show, and it wasn't the Secret Show that I do now. It was just called The Secret Show. It was a interview style. It was very similar to Kill Tony, except there wasn't a bucket and we didn't have open micers. It was just like a table of comics, 2 co-hosts. I had a co-host, Jason Tebow, and we had somebody draw every episode like Kill Tony and everything. And it was just more of like comics talking and hanging out together. And it was like if you take Kill Tony, you take the bucket away pretty much.
Yeah.
You take out the game show aspect of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a point though, and we were doing it. I did it for a while, but my co-host was just going through some shit, and he wasn't reliable. And then I was like, "Fuck, I need to stop this and figure out a new idea, or maybe I'm just going to be the only host of the show." And then Tony came up to me. He's like, "I got this idea," and he pretty much, I think, he has like had this idea, and I was like, "Fine, if we do this, we're going to be 50-50, and and I'm just gonna. This is the only show I'm ready to like focus my time on, energy on." And he's like, "All right, deal." And then,
did you see something in Tony? Did you like what was like? How do you? I mean, I get the idea of like, and I oftentimes will be like right now I have 25 fucking restaurants. Right? When we met, I think I had like one open. And every once in a while, I'll get so stressed out and so overwhelmed that I'll be like, I want out, and I want my one restaurant, right? But if I haven't done that, what is the point that happens where you go, that's it, I'm fucking done? And when you do, what is the steps you take to starting the second number 1 podcast in the world?
Well, to me it was fucking with my relationships because I was there all the time. And it was really just a boiling point where I just kind of like, I can't, I'm so tired, and there's no benefit, and there's not like I'm getting money from doing all this. And then there was a lot of times where I would start a podcast, and it would get to a certain point, and then they, like a company, liked the podcast and were like, "Come over here, let us do the podcast," And so then they would leave, and I'm like, I guess why'd I help build this podcast?
And because you were just doing it with friends that you didn't have like contracts and
no,
deals.
It was none of that, none of the contracts. I wish I could have had a piece of this place, but no, I mean, because I wasn't doing it for business. I was doing it to help my friends. And so, I mean, it was like one of those things, like looking back, I was like, damn, you fucking dumbass. Like,
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, here's the thing. You don't, in my industry, you work for free for a long time.
Right.
And you do it so that you can get the experience, so that you can, you do it for the love. You never do it for the money.
Right.
And I always think that especially when it comes to art, if you're doing it for the love, money will find you.
Right.
If you do it for the money, you're probably not gonna, it's not gonna work out. I
subscribe to that 100%. I mean, that's pretty much, that nails how I feel about everything.
You do it for the love; it all falls together somehow.
But at the point, at the time when you're like doing that, like I'm like, okay, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I've been, half the podcasts I made are with other companies now, and it came to a point where there was this. I'm not going to call him out, but there was a company or a guy. And he took like 3 of my podcasts, and he changed the names and stuff, but they took the format and they took all these like things, and I was like, what the fuck, why? Like, and it kind of hurt, but it was just one of those things I snapped out. I was like, why am I doing this? I need to stop. I just need to take it down a notch, just do like my podcast. Like I was
Do something that's
yeah,
yours.
Yeah. So I had like 2 podcasts at the time, and I was doing those, and then this show that I was doing at the Comedy Store, which I was like so excited that like, the Comedy Store gave me a weekly spot, which is out that's unheard of, you know. And so when that was starting to fail, and like, you know, and I was just like, man, now this is fucked. And Tony just happened to come at the right time and go, I got this idea. And I liked the idea, and I liked how it was very similar to how I was already doing.
It's already a thing you wanted to do, but it had that magic.
Had a magic touch to it, so I wouldn't have to change much. And, you know, it's pretty much the same table, the same amount of microphones and everything. So I was like, well, that's when I said, this is the first time to Tony, I was like, man, if we do this though, we're 50-50. There's no like, you know what I mean? And that's why I did it. And yeah.
So do you look back and say, do you look back with any sort of gratitude on at the moment you felt like you were getting fucked, right? You build this thing, someone takes it. You build this thing, someone takes it. Do you ever look back and go, had those things not been taken from me, you may not have approached Kill Tony that way. You may not have done Kill Tony that way. Like, do you ever look back and go like I'm happy these things happened so I can get to where I am today?
I mean, sure, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm glad that happened because that was the magic formula, but I don't know.
I'm not saying
I'm still pretty bitter about a lot of shit. No, I mean, I'm glad everything happened as it is. You know, obviously, I'm doing good. Everything's great now, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm getting stressed about even thinking about this time period of my life.
Well, let's talk, okay, so let's talk about a better time period. So you got, I mean, you start, and that was what, 12 years ago you guys started Kill Tony?
It was about 11
years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you now have started on this new endeavor, which I know for a fact you never thought was going to sell out Madison Square Garden for multiple days.
No.
So you were hoping to maybe make it through the weekend,
right?
So take us through that trajectory and some of the roadblocks and obstacles you had to overcome to take it from, you know, the Comedy Store and playing to 5 people to playing to 50,000 people.
It was definitely it didn't happen overnight with that show. You know, where like JRE and Your Mom's House and Ari and all these other podcasts were pretty quick to find their audience.
Is that because Tony and or Joe and Tom were bigger than Tony was at the time of the start, or
I think
it was? I don't even know. Were they or?
I think the main reason is that the show isn't a typical podcast, and so I think when people go, "What's this podcast?" Oh, it's open micers. Like, you know,
you have to be a comedy fan to like it,
right?
You can't just like good conversation.
But if you're a comedy fan, also, you know, fuck watching open micers. You know, that's the worst part of comedy. I don't know how many, if you've ever gone to an open mic show, it's like put a gun in my mouth. So I think the hardest part of Kill Tony was actually selling it to like people that are like, well, it's open micers doing stand up. I don't want to fucking watch. Like, but you know, and it was building the formula. I mean, look, you watch the old Kill Tony compared to the new Tony. There's so many little elements that have been added over the years, just trial and error, and you know, it was a very slow burn at the beginning. Like it was hard to get 10, 15 people in the first, you know, few weeks. And then slowly we started getting, you know, about 20 people a week, and 25 people a week. But we're talking years of just slowly adding some numbers. And it never really went crazy on iTunes or YouTube. I was even on JRE multiple times trying to sell it to him. This is before he knew Tony Hinchcliffe. Okay. I was like, oh, I got that. There's this guy named Tony, and we do this. And Joe's like, all right, I'll check it out. But I would promote it on the show, and even that bump of promoting the show, like it was just a little baby
little
steps.
hops.
Yeah. And then I remember, because we used to do it in the belly room of the Comedy Store, which is about, I don't know, 80 people, 100 people. It's a small room. And then we did it for 4 years or so. And then one day they offered, hey, do you want to start doing it in the main room, the big room? And
it's what, 200-300?
Yeah, 300 or so. And that was one where like, dude, I don't know, if we leave this room, start doing it there, they're just going to put another show in there, and then we're going to be stuck in this big room with, what if we can't fill that room? It's just this huge room.
Scary.
So it was very scary.
But you take a leap of faith regardless.
Right. And we were doing this was a free show. And then I remember we were like, maybe we should charge $5, I think. I mean, that was so scary for us because we didn't want those 30 people not to show up anymore.
Yeah.
But funny enough, we started choosing $5, and then more people started coming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's something. There's
value to
There's
it.
something psychological about like I don't want to go to a free thing. If it costs $50, it must be good. It must be
something
worth
going
$50.
on,
Right. Yeah, because we were only $5 for maybe a month or two, and then we're like, all right, let's make it $10.
Yeah.
And, and then But then when we moved to that bigger room, then it's actually started. We had more room to play. We had we could do more things, and it grew pretty fast to the point where, oh shit, we are now selling out almost every week in the 300 people. And in LA, that's harder to do than it is in Texas, because LA, there's a million cool things to do, and shows and comedy shows down the street. Fucking Seinfeld's doing the Improv,
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, right when we were like kind of on the ups and ups and stuff. And they're like, fuck, our show has to have an audience, or it has to have people, and we have to keep on doing it. And the COVID days were some of the grossest days ever for Kill Tony, because it was just a bunch of people calling in, doing stand-up comedy
Over the phone,
over a webcam.
Oh wow!
Just by any means necessary.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was hard. We definitely took a hit for COVID.
You guys stayed strong though.
Yeah.
Like what kept you guys just railing away at it, even with like just the 20 people watching and stuff? You're like, nope, we're doing it again next week.
Yeah, we just had to do it, and we knew during COVID there were so many people looking for entertainment or something to also.
Yeah.
So even though like it wasn't great for our format, we had to find a format that was close enough to the original format that we could do. And there was, all these laws where you couldn't do this and that, and
Especially in LA.
in
right?
LA was the worst, man. And then, Jamie, young Jamie, got sick. He got COVID, and Joe and Jamie had already moved here like 6 months prior. And Joe goes, "Hey, man, Jamie's fucked. He's got the COVID." He's like, "Can you fill in for him?" Because I'm still I still work for Joe, but I'm like for emergencies, I guess. And so I was like, "Hell yeah! Any cool guests?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's why I want you to fly out. It's Kanye West, it's Matthew McConaughey, it's Maynard from Tool." And I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'm coming." So I came down. And I was down in town for like 2 weeks. And me and Tony had talked like maybe we should move to Austin. Rogan's there. And especially since I kind of work for him, I feel like I kind of had, like...
Need to be around.
I need to be around, know? And I was already tired of LA because of the COVID and how LA was turning into. It was just bad. And then all the riots and stuff.
Yeah, it was messy for a while.
Yeah, and like there was smash and grabs. I mean, Burbank, where I lived, used to have like no homeless people. It was the safest place in the world.
I used to live in Burbank too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What part?
Alameda and Glen Oaks Drive.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I was Alameda, pretty much where the Starbucks Pavilions is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived right where there's the Del Taco and the 7-Eleven and the church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was those three, and then my little duplex.
Oh
was
fuck
right
yeah.
here.
I knew exactly where that is. Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, Burbank. I lived next to Disney. It was an equestrian district. People walking horses. After all the riots and after all that shit, there was drug addicts like in my backyard doing meth and shit like that, and my car was like getting broken into, and I'm like, what happened to Burbank? I was like, I'm over this. So when I flew in to cover for Jamie, I had so much downtime because after the podcast, it's like I didn't know anybody. Joe didn't have his club open. I was just like sitting at my hotel, and I was like, well, I guess I should look around for fun. Let's just look at some houses, because I had saved up so much money. Because because I was thinking about buying a house in LA before all this shit went down.
Now you could buy 5 houses in Austin for the same price.
Yeah, because I saved up money, and then the cheapest I could find I wanted to live in Burbank or Toluca Lake or something like the cheapest I could find was like a 1-bedroom house, and it was over $1 million. And it was like rats. It needed it needed to be fixed.
Had metal bars in the windows.
Yeah, it needed so much work, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not buying this. And I was so pissed off about that. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to look at some houses. Literally the second house I looked at. It's the house I bought. And it was brand new. It was like a McMansion. It was literally half the amount of that. It was like $400,000.
Yeah.
It had like 7 bedrooms. It has 2 studios. The whole second floor is just a huge game room. And I was just like, why is this so cheap? And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to apply and see if I get approved. Got approved. I was like, oh my God.
Done.
So I'm like, I signed the papers, didn't tell Janice, my girl, didn't tell Tony, didn't tell anybody. I think I told Joe. Came back to LA and I'm like, Tony, I'm moving I bought a house. I'm moving to Austin in January, and you should come too, but I guess I could fly out once a week or something like that, if not. And in my head, I was like, man, I would fly out a few times, but I'd probably just end up quitting, you know?
That'd be a hard thing.
Yeah, because I was like, I have to get out of LA.
Yeah.
And I didn't, like, at first, I don't think Tony thought about it that much. And I think the last couple months after I told him that, he also was like, you know what, I need to get the fuck out of here too. And we were kind of just butting heads with some of the members of the show at the time and stuff. And me and Tony just literally, Tony moved out, and within a couple weeks of Tony moving out, I think in January, we found a place to do Kill Tony. We found a new band, and me and Tony just started it over, and immediately it just was a hit.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
It's so good, dude.
Yeah, Texas has been great for us, you know. And it was weird though, because we really, you know, we lost half our show, our original band members. We had like band member comedians that, you know, were big characters on the show. But that's one cool thing about the past. Like me and Tony used to it would just be me and him sometimes go on the road, and I'd just open up my iPad, would find a bucket in the kitchen of the comedy club, and we could do the show anywhere, you know, we could still do that. Like if shit went down, me and Tony could literally do the show, just me and him. That's what's great about it. So yeah, it was a huge move. And that was the first time where, you know, I literally was like, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get the fuck out of LA. Hopefully Janice isn't mad. Hopefully Tony comes also. And then I was so lucky though, because literally 2 months after I bought the house, it's when Elon Musk announced that he was bringing Tesla here. And then every company, like Apple's moving here, this and that and that. My house doubled in price in like 3 months. Doubled in, and that's
got in at the
when
perfect time.
So you came out in January of 21 or no?
November of 2020
20.
is when I bought the house. And I had been out here for a few weeks, and then I drove from LA I think January 1st. I think it was actually, no, it was Christmas.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I remember we got to our house on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Yeah, we were on the road. My girl's birthday was the 23rd, and we were on the road in in Texas or in New Mexico or something.
Wow.
On her birthday.
Wow. So you guys started doing shows here in January then? Mm-hmm. So then I must have gone to one of the first ones. Not the first, but like near the beginning. Yeah, because we met in February. You and I met in February of 21.
Okay, yeah. I don't remember if it was the first week of January. Because I remember we recorded a few episodes in LA, and it actually lined up perfect where you
could just keep dropping every week.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy how fast we got here and started it, and been doing it since.
That's crazy. I mean, I've watched over the last 4 years it just absolutely erupt. You know,
especially the last year, I would say.
Yeah, well,
last year it's just gone crazy.
But every time going, you know, moving into Vulcan, blowing up, moving into Mothership, blowing up.
Yeah.
So what is that? I mean, so you convince Tony or you guys come out here. You like, how do you find the first spot? How do you
Tony found the first spot, and I think it was because I don't know. I think he met Gary Clark Jr. somehow, and I don't know how he met Gary. I can't remember, but Gary is like one of the owners of Unfiltered, and then Gary was friends with not Gary, but John Keys, the keyboardist for our band, works for Gary Clark Jr.
And that's how you found John.
And then John assembled the band. Like, hey, you want to be on this band for this podcast once a week type thing? And
That's so rad.
yeah.
So you guys move into there. It's going. I mean, it's going awesome. And then what happens?
Then it gets so big that we're just doing arenas now somehow, and,
It's so rad.
which makes zero sense. How we went from a 80-person room at the Comedy Store with 3 people to like literally selling out Madison Square Garden two days in a row. Yeah, it's insane.
But it is insane. But what it sounds like is a story of perseverance. It sounds like if you don't give up ever, then you will get there.
Yeah.
And where there is, nobody knows, right? But you will get to a place where, I mean, if you keep marching forward, no matter how many times you get punched in the face, no matter how many walls you walk into, if you just keep trudging forward, trudging on, you'll continue to progress. And so to me, what's super inspiring about this is like, so we've talked with so many people who are like, some of them are very intellectually driven about their mindset and about like, you get in the cold plunge, you do this, you do that. And some people, and then it's like, we're talking with you and it's like, yeah, I just wanted to do this thing. I hold some bitterness, I hold some of this, but you know what? I don't even know how I got there, but it's for me listening. I know how you got there.
Yeah.
You just kept fucking walking in that direction.
Kept going.
You
Yeah.
believed in that direction. And you just kept walking. And I'm saying you haven't gotten there because the show's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
I see it on a weekly basis. I mean, I love it for you guys, but it's fucking wild. I mean, it is wild, to know. Look, like I feel even funny saying this, but like this year we're watching the election, and I'm going, fuck. One of my friends is going to be in trouble for this, no matter which way it
Oh,
goes.
trust me, every time the first time Tony got canceled, I remember it was bad, for the Peng Dang thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember even talking to Joe, and Joe's like, well, maybe me and you could start a tech podcast. And I was like, that's a good idea. Yeah, actually, damn it. That would have been pretty cool doing that. And then the second time, I was like, man, he already got over that. The second time didn't really bother me, or I wasn't as scared that time. But then presidents were talking about Tony, like Obama and shit. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually, thank God Trump won. Because if he didn't, I don't know what the outcome would have been. Like, Tony would need 5 bodyguards. But thank God Trump won, just for that reason alone. And I'm sure he's going to get canceled Tony's going to get canceled this year, I bet, I'm sure.
Well, I mean,
he loves getting canceled.
well, every time he gets canceled,
It jumps up. It jumps up. Yeah.
He
Comes
blows,
back stronger too.
Not only comes back. It's like when you'd hit that boss in the video game, and every time you cut off an arm, 2 grow back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he just gets bigger and bigger every time. And I think cancel culture's done. I think because if you look at it, how many people that got canceled actually did it work? I can only think of one.
I can think of a few. But it's mostly for like the creepy stuff, like
Yeah, for
underage
sure.
girls.
Yes,
or,
but that's not so
That's
much
stuff
cancel.
that's
That's
like-
called getting caught.
Yeah, it's not cancel, I guess.
That's called committing a felony
Yeah,
and getting
that's-
caught.
yeah.
That's different than to
That's
me,
definitely
canceling
doing
is
some
like
wrong shit,
Yeah.
yeah,
you know?
canceling to me is like, hey, I don't agree with what you did, so I'm going to try to take away your life.
Right.
But it's not about agreeing if you committed a crime.
Right.
That's what the justice system is
Yeah.
for. So yeah, there's some people like to be able to say like, Harvey Weinstein got canceled. No, he got arrested. He got arrested because you guys put him on blast and everybody found out about it. But like that to me is not a cancellation. You know, cancellation is when you go, hey, I want to, you know, I don't like what they're doing. I'm gonna try to take that away from them.
I was responsible for one of the first cancellations ever.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, the Carlos Mencia video.
we got some laughter back there.
Yeah, he's still canceled. I mean, it's.
I know the story. I don't know if everyone at home does, but tell Neen, he doesn't know the story.
Okay, so there was a comedian named Carlos Mencia. At the time, he was one of the biggest comedians in the world. He had a show, #1 show on Comedy Central called Mind of Mencia. And he was known in the comedy world. Everyone always said he steals jokes. He would just like, there's stories after story of like he sits in the back of the room of the comedy club and just sits there and writes people's jokes down. And over that was a problem. And he would come to the Comedy Store, literally bump, like just wasn't supposed to go on stage, but bump somebody and then do like an hour. And then
No one can get on.
Just being a, overall just, and I had a couple issues with him once. Like one time I put up, I made something online and I put it up and about him and he saw it, I guess. I remember one time I'm just sitting there talking to my friend and he just comes up to me, walks next to me, looks at me and then just does that, like that chicken neck thing to me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why, did he just chicken neck me?
Yeah.
So one time, I'm at the Comedy Store, and at this time, I had Pauly Shore, who mom owns the Comedy Store, told me I wasn't allowed to bring cameras to the comedy club anymore. This was in 2007 because he thought I was making a TV show. He's like, you can't just be making a TV show, you know? And so, so I would have Joe bought me all these really tiny cameras, like little, those little Sonys that you just flip up,
I can just picture you and Joe going to like one of those spy shops on Van Nuys Boulevard.
Oh, we did. We used to go to the one in San Francisco all the time or whatever. But no, seriously, like that was the coolest thing because Joe was Fear Factor money. And I'd be like, Joe, how about we get little cameras, you know, just buy me like 5 Sonys. So I was like had all these hidden pockets. Each one had like a camera that battery lasted like 20 minutes and stuff like that. You know,
Just had to swap them out.
Right. I even had like a cell phone that could do video, which was like the first cell phone that could do video. Is like old. Well, anyways, Ari runs out. I'm in the front patio, and Ari goes, "Brian, do you have any cameras on you?" I'm like, "I got a few." Why? And he goes, "Go inside. Shit's going down." And I walk in, and Joe and Carlos Mencia are on stage together. I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I start filming, and I film this pretty much battle between Joe and Carlos. And Joe's calling Carlos for being a joke thief out, and blah blah blah, and all this. And I'm like filming. I'm like, fuck, this is going to run out of battery. So I get out like another one. And
oh, wait, are you pulling it up? Let's see.
Yeah. So this is it.
You filmed this one?
I edited too.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
And I made this song. And I made that graphic.
I've heard Joe mention it a couple times on the show.
So what happened is
I'm somebody important enough that he had to end the show by saying Carlos Mencia. That's who I am.
Yo, bro, how difficult it is for comics. You don't know that nobody supports comics. You don't know
Wow.
a riff from a song, that shit's in the news constantly. Motherfuckers steal shit.
So I filmed this whole thing,
Yeah.
and then and like I remember other comics were coming up to me, going, "Hey, you're not allowed to film this and stuff," and I'm just like, "Shut the fuck up," you know, like and I went home that night at like 2 a.m. and edited the whole thing, and put the music in, researched, tried to find videos that they were talking about, references and stuff. I remember at like 6 or 7 in the morning, I had done it all night long. I sent it to Joe, and I'm like, Joe, I think I'm finished. And I remember I just uploaded it. I think Joe was still sleeping, and I uploaded it, went to bed. Woke up and it was almost at 1 million hits. It was all over every news channel, MySpace, front of MySpace, front of every website.
Well, back then there wasn't that much stuff that would pop up on the internet that was, you know.
Yeah, and it was snowballed. I mean, I was on Adam Carolla's show the next day. Like he invited me when he had a radio show just to talk about it. And what's crazy is that I ran out of time. So I had all this extra footage. So I was going to make a part 2, but then
The sequel.
but then Carlos like threatened to sue me and all this shit.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, not Joe, sue me.
That's crazy.
And so I never made the part 2. And I always said I should make a part 2, but he's still canceled, so I don't need to do it anymore. But yeah, he now, like, if you what's so sad of it, I feel kind of bad now because he's still like, if a comedy club posts like, hey, we have Mencia here this weekend, just go to the comments and there'll be 40 people just going, oh, who's he stealing from now? Blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
he still gets it to this day. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
I mean,
the court of public opinion does suck, unfortunately. I mean, I feel like it is, I don't want to say that stealing, it's definitely not okay. And I don't want to say it's victimless, but I think you should let people redeem themselves. You know what I mean? Not you, Brian. I think the fucking court of public opinion should let people, and we should applaud people for growing, because
growing and learning.
We've all done shit when we were younger that like we definitely wouldn't do today, because we did something, we went, fuck, that was stupid. Probably because we got called out by a friend or a foe, or we just realized it, and then we got better, and so I feel like you should be able to.
Well, I think if he did it right, like, I'm fucking sorry, apologize, you know, I was going through shit, whatever. But he's still in denial about it. And like,
not
and
accepting.
one of the things
So he says he never stole anything?
right. One of the jokes he stole is a famous Bill Cosby bit. Like, you can't just, I thought of this bit. Like, if you know the joke, it's like very complex, and it's very not like you're just going to think of that. You know.
You came up with the most original signature dish that this guy's, the most famous chef in the world's signature dish was?
Exactly. And then I think there was even a point where he did admit it, like on a radio station or something, but then literally like 6 months later, he went back to not admitting it. You know, he's still got that ego on him where he and I've heard he still steals. People tell me he still steals. Wow. So I think that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Well, enough about him.
Yeah. I don't know how he even got down that path.
Because I don't remember how we started talking about cancellation, but we were talking about cancellation, and you said you were responsible for the first one.
One of them.
Oh,
yeah.
we were talking about how Tony gets canceled all the time.
Right.
Yeah. What is that like being in? Because obviously you're not getting canceled, right? But like your livelihood is on the line every time.
Well, when Tony gets canceled, we all get the effects of it. Let's just say, like this latest one seemed like we got more so than the other ones because, you know, I forget who it was. Martin Phillips met a girl. He was like on a couple dates with her. Then that happened, and then she's like, "I can't be with anyone that works with that guy." You know, like an association cancellation.
Wow.
I felt that too. Like people find out that I'm on the show with the guy that did that, and now I'm a part of that.
The guy that told a joke.
Yeah. And that. What's funny is even though that's blown over, people still have very strong opinions about Tony now, and but it doesn't matter because what you know. But and I think the association of that. I think all of us on the show felt it, you know, because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people or friends come to me and be like, "You know those guys?" I'm like, "Yeah, you." Just because a comedian tells a joke doesn't mean he's a bad person.
Right, yeah.
He was at my daughter's fucking baby shower. You guys have sat there and sang nursery rhymes to my fucking 4-month-old daughter. You know, it's a different. You know, that doesn't mean that you mean everything. I thought it was hilarious that that Kim came out on the.
Yeah, I'm sure we were like, all right, what Puerto Ricans do we know that are in Austin, Texas? Look.
Well, I mean, look, perfect timing for Hans Kim, right?
Yeah, totally. That was almost planned.
So what's next for you guys? I mean, one of the things I like, we sort of bring up towards the end as we start to sort of wind things down a little bit, because we've gotten we're at present day right now, and the big takeaway is just put your fucking head down, care about trust the process, care about what it is you're working towards and the thing you're doing. And if you never stop, you're just going to keep climbing the mountain higher and higher and higher. Where does that mountain go for you? Magic lamp on the table in the next 10 years. Where are you? What are you doing?
On a beach somewhere, not working. Drinking
out of a coconut.
Yeah. Tried to get Janice into having threesomes.
Just starting to try?
More cats.
Love that.
More cats. No, I mean, look, Kill Tony, it's getting bigger and bigger. Is it how much bigger? How much bigger can it go? I own a comedy club now, so I imagine myself. I don't know if I would just continue to do shows, like maybe think of more shows, do another show. Or if I would be like, one day I'm just going to focus back on comedy, stand up, go back on the road. I don't know, do something like that. Or just focus time of owning a comedy club. I mean, I own a t-shirt company also that I run out of my house, so I have all these hands still, like, in all these different things that I'm still doing. But there's a part of me that's like, in 10 years, I'll be 60 years old.
Wow.
So maybe just move somewhere and hopefully have enough money I could just be like, fuck it. We're just gonna, do the old man thing, go somewhere, live on a beach.
Yeah, but your avatar is never going to be 60.
That's right. And I could be doing that on the beach.
Go off grid for a little bit.
Virtual reality all day.
Yeah. Is there ever have you ever considered, or do you ever plan on doing some sort of VR podcast? I mean, I know you do like the virtual Redban.
Yeah, I do it kind of right now. That's just something that I think is going to be a thing. It's just the technology needs to catch up.
Yeah.
People still don't do VR as much as I think they will be doing. Like, I thought when Apple was going to release theirs, I thought, here we go. This is going to be the iPhone. Everyone's going to be doing VR now. This is going to make a lot of sense, this virtual reality shit I've been doing. But then they brought it out and it was like $4,000. And I was like, well, I guess it's not happening this year.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's a possibility. I still do that show once or twice a week, the virtual reality thing. But it is not to the point where it'll be great when everyone has their own virtual reality. It'll be like, hey, you want to be on my show tonight? You got your VR, right? All right, 8:00. Meet me in Disney World.
And eventually, it'll be indistinguishable, right? Like the actual.
Right. Yeah, it will look like this right now, but we're all on the toilet in real life.
On the beach.
Yeah, on the beach. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that will be nice though in 10 years if that catches on, and we could still do Kill Tony, but me and Tony are literally in two different countries, like
you're on the toilet, he's sitting on a throne.
Yeah, he's sitting on a dick.
You were the first person to make the booth laugh, and multiple times.
Where can people find you?
Well, deathsquad.tv or Redban, Redban on Instagram and all that shit like that.
Kill Tony show.
Kill Tony.
Every week.
Virtual reality, virtual Redban.
Sunset Strip
Comedy Club.
Yeah.
There we go. It's right next door to the Comedy Mothership. So that shit's sold out every day for weeks. Just come to my little comedy club.
Yep.
The same comics just walk back and forth between the two clubs.
So
it's a little
sick.
secret, and it's cheaper probably.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
guys.
telling us. I mean,
Thank you,
I know
Redban.
I learned a lot. I mean, we've been friends for years, but I learned a lot about your background and all this stuff. And I do find it actually very inspirational just to be like, because sometimes when you're on that path, it's like the cliche of like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's
Classic Paula Abdul. Yeah.
but it sometimes is so hard to just keep trudging through the mud. And we were actually talking about this with Brigham. It's like, sometimes it's a full decade, before you become an overnight success. you know,
Yeah.
and I mean, you guys went from 0 to 100, you know, but you didn't. You went from 0 to 5. I mean, you really did rev up,
You
but
hit the steps.
Yeah.
and it's to me, there's a lot of takeaway of just like, just keep doing what you love. Just keep doing. If you do what you love long enough, it will work.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. man.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode. Hit subscribe now if you want to follow along. We have some awesome guests lined up that we sit down with. Make sure you follow the Not a Damn Chance podcast on socials at NADC Podcast. We'll see you next week.